Hello everybody, it's Glass Half Dead here, and today I want to talk to you about Kill Team, and specifically last weekend where we had the biggest tournament so far of Kill Team, which took place in Madrid. We also had, it was 58 players to be clear. We also had another large Kill Team tournament, which was 35 players, which took place in London. And I thought we'd go over some stats, we'd go over who's playing what, because that's always fun to look at for those that are a little bit of a hipster like me and doesn't want to play the best faction. Well, I've got you covered. I'm also going to look over who is playing the winning teams, or what the winning teams are, and then hopefully we can kind of dissect a little bit about what that might mean, not just for the moment, but for the future. You know, we're going to look at the most played factions, the least played, the popular, the overpowered maybe. But of course, first, if you are a subscriber to my channel, I'd like to give you a big double hello. And also, every name you see on screen right now is a patron of mine, and I'd like to give them a big thank you. It genuinely helps me out. So for those of you that do not know, Spain are Kill Team mad. I can't remember the exact number, but I think they've had 31 tournaments in the last 3 months since Kill Team released. They've gone insane. Now obviously they weren't all massive 58 player shenanigan fests, okay, but they were big, they were Spanish. That's about all I can say. Good for them. It's awesome to see someone's taking them so seriously. Honestly, knowing how big that scene is over there, I want to get over there myself. Unfortunately, language barrier, I don't speak a word of Spanish apart from no me gusta, which I learned from South Park. There you go. But a 58 player tournament 3 months in is super impressive. And then London at Bad Moon Cafe, it was supposed to be 36 players, of course, but one dropped. There was always a drop, so it was 35 players. Let's get straight into some numbers, because that's always fun. Just so you know, for this dataset, I have combined the two tournaments. We're looking at a dataset of 93 tournament goers here. The most taken faction was in fact Orcs, specifically Commandos, but Orcs with 12 players. Then we had Tau, Pathfinders that is, with 11 players, followed by Tyranids with 9, and then Talons of the Emperor with 8. Now, little note on Talons of the Emperor, quite interestingly actually, over in London, there were no players playing Talons, whereas Madrid had 8. Clearly, they are behind the meta. In case you're wondering if Talons are overpowered, the highest player now was 6th. And then the next was 16th, so they seem to have been successfully nerfed, it would appear. But 6 is no shabby number, so they are still eminently playable. Now you might see a few faction names missing from this list. Why is that? Who isn't being played? Well, there's 3 of them. It is Craft Worlds, Demons, and Kroot. Which I've got to say actually, okay, Craft Worlds, they're terrible, they need help. Fair enough, Craft Worlds aren't being played. Nice. I actually think Demons and Kroot are totally acceptable. I would bet on them over, for example, Marines. But you know what? Marines are the poster boys. Let's talk about how bad Marines are. Just, you know, a nice little aside, and then we'll get into the winners, because that's what we're all here for. Now, the Madrid tournament may have had 8 Talons players, but it actually had 0 Adeptus Astartes players. And Bad Moon had 3, of which I believe all 3 of them were actually Deathwatch rosters, not standard Astartes rosters. And I'm gonna be, it's the highest placing of them was 18th. So Marines are in a bit of a bad spot, but screw them. Who cares? They deserve it. Anyway, let's go down to the factions of the top 12. Just so you know, in my opinion, the top 4 players are, to me, equal. Like, I don't really care if you came 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th. If you're at that level, chances are it was a roll of the dice here or there, or there was a faction imbalance. All of those players are winners to me. So I don't really care who came 1st. I don't really care who came 2nd. I care who came in the top bracket, if you will. And arbitrarily, I defined it as the top 12. But don't worry, I am going to talk about the 1st place. Now we're doing the top 12. We still have a little bit of data to work with here, as opposed to going straight into personal anecdotes of number 1 and number 2. So here we have Hunter Cadre That's the Tau Pathfinders with 6. A full quarter of the field is Pathfinders. Okay? Pathfinders are doing pretty damn well when it comes to getting into the top 12. Even the top 8, actually, the number doesn't change for the Pathfinders. There are still 6 Pathfinders in the top 8, whether I did top 8 or 12. However, we then have Commandos. In the top 12, there's 5 Commandos, 3 Harlequins, 3 Warp Coven, 2 Vet Guard, 1 Talons, 1 Hunter Clade, that's Admech if you don't know, because nobody plays them, 1 Tyranids, and 1 Drukhari. I think it's pretty good to see Drukhari, Tyranids up there. I'm a little bit, you know what, I'm not surprised to see Harlequins there either, because I think everyone agrees Harlequins are very strong. They're a 3 APL team with 8 models that can ignore movement, basically. I mean, they are blatantly strong. And Talons are there, fair enough, that's Talons, right? They're still strong, you're still a 2-up save with 18 wounds, you know? Okay, now let's get down to business. Let's talk number 1s, okay? The number 1 in Madrid, the 58-player tournament, was actually Veteran Guard, whilst the number 1 in London was Pathfinders. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, I've heard that Vet Guard are a strong team from people before, so I had no doubt that they were, you know, a top table capable faction. I'm surprised to see them do it, but this doesn't really shock me. Honestly, I'm not shocked by any of the artisanal teams. That's right, guys, they're not bespoke teams, they're artisanal teams from now on. We can't be bespoke anymore. And they're definitely not compendiums. They are now artisanal teams. I won't lie, I'm a little bit heartened to not see Commandos take the top spot. But then, you know, like on the swing roundabout there, Pathfinders, I think everybody that is kind of familiar with the game at this point could look at Pathfinders and see just how crazy strong they are. And sure enough, they have turned out to be crazy strong, pulling not only a top spot, but having the most number of players in the top 12. It should also be noted that the Vet Guard player who came first in Madrid didn't have to play against Pathfinders. He managed to dodge them. Matchups matter. And whether you think Vet Guard have a good matchup into Tau or not, kind of irrelevant, because if you just don't have to play them, it's all theoretical. It almost looks a little bit like the artisanal team that didn't have to face Pathfinders won. And that's the numbers done, guys. There's not much more to say, at least at this point. I think the numbers speak for themselves. So now let's just have a little think about what these numbers might mean. I think it's relatively clear that Pathfinders are strong. And they're not just strong, they are possibly a little bit broken. That's a harsh word, I realise. Do they need a nerf? What do they need? Let's talk about how they are too strong, in what way they are beating, very reliably it would appear, anyone they go up against. Well, luckily, I have a Discord where people regularly talk about their games, and Ryan, the Pathfinders player from London, posted a few of his thoughts about Pathfinders into my Discord. His thoughts are that the Grenadier is way too powerful, as he's literally just an overpowered melter because he has 2 melter grenades, and that probably needs to be looked at. There's no downside to that model. And then they also have a ploy called a worthy cause. This allows you to do some sort of absolutely insane chaining of activations where you can activate, like, I've heard the number 4 models thrown around. It might only be 3, I can't quite remember off the top of my head, where basically you can activate up to 4 models before your opponent does anything. It costs you 1 CP. It means that you are always safe, and you never have to be in a negative position due to the last turn's events. So you can always dash out to cap whatever points you want and then play this to run away. So this is some sort of crazy jump, shoot, jump type maneuver, but also beyond, like, the ability to not be hit, somewhat more concerningly, is just how good at killing the Tau are, obviously. And so being allowed to activate 3 or 4 models before your opponent can do anything is absolutely nuts, which means any threats that the opponent might have put up against you at the end of last term just don't matter. you can just kill them. And Tau are really good at killing. This is the weird thing. They're very fast. They essentially... So, okay, also, Montcar. Let's talk about the Montcar. This is another thing Ryan pointed out. The Montcar seems incredibly strong. Now it's only once per game. Well, or twice per game for a CP. What it allows you to do that is so strong is it gives everyone that's on an engage order a free dash. That's fine. That's okay. But it essentially means that your entire team for a turn is APL 3. You could have 13 models that are APL 3 with 2 of them due to APL movement shenanigans being APL 4. That's crazy. And your regular gun is 4-5 damage. And it's so easy to get marker lights on models. You could be 4-5 damage reliably re-rolling a dice and having the no cover special rule. You can kill anything in the game. Now, I have no issue with teams having good combos in them, right? But this isn't a combo. This is essentially a baked-in ability, and it's probably too much. However, I'm not going to say that they necessarily need to be nerfed yet, because these were the first tournaments since CHALNATH and Warp Coven dropped. So, kind of okay, fine, right? Maybe we need to adjust, maybe, and I suspect this is the case, a lot of people wait to see how they do in tournaments, wait for the best players to put out those big combos, show people how they are played, and then other people know the tactics and can start practicing against them correctly, and then we'll start to see Commandos come back, Vet Guard come back, Warp Coven, who already seem relatively strong, AdMech, etc. They should all, in theory, have a way around whatever it is the Tau do. That is how a meta normally works and evolves, and so I actually don't mind that Tau are so overrepresented in the top 12. What I do mind, I mean, no one can outplay them having 4 activations before you move, right? That seems like it needs toning down. That isn't a combo, that's broken. And okay, everybody, that's pretty much it. That's the end of my discussion. I really just wanted to show people the faction breakdowns and then have a little chat. I hope I've done that to an acceptable level for you. Because nothing gets me wanting to play Kill Team more than knowing which the hipster factions are. Anyway, everybody, this has been Glass Half Dead. I hope you've had a good day and continue to have a good day. Goodbye.